would like you to sit with me for a few minutes. Have a cup of tea or coffee while I explain what we are doing on this YouTube channel. It's storytelling time. Yay! I love telling stories to children, especially young children. There's so many amazing books out there to use when you're doing storytelling with children. Some of them are absolutely hilarious. Look at this one. Alan's Big Scary Teeth. This is amazing because it's all about an alligator. There he is, look, with his scary teeth. What we don't know until we get halfway through the book is that actually Alan's teeth are false. Oh, that is so funny. And I remember my granddaughter telling me when she was 5, Grandma, she was so really concerned and wanting me to hear this. Grandma, I said, what is it? And she said, you know, old people, they can take the teeth out. So beware all you grandparents who are doing storytelling. Those little children might be just looking up into your mouth and thinking, are those teeth real? Watch the video to get a better understanding of how to read or tell stories to young children 1 to 7 years of age. Frank Cottrell Boyce, Waterstone's Children's Laureate, says that being read to regularly is a fundamental right that provides massive advantages in life. He states that shared reading builds crucial emotional bonds, supports mental well-being, and prevents children from falling behind. And of course, children become obsessed with the characters in the books. The Gruffalo. Oh my gosh, my grandchildren, or two of them, they have Gruffalo slippers. When I went to visit them, we went to a market, there were some Gruffalo hoodies. And I said to my daughter, I were to buy those for the birthdays. And she said, oh, no, it's okay. I bought them, and 2 years on, they are still wearing them with the little hood up and the Gruffalo on the back. They absolutely love those tops. It's like Peppa Pig, you know. Everywhere you go, you see children with Peppa Pig. You see them with their slippers or little costumes dressed as Peppa Pig. Superman the same, you know, walking around town or going to nursery or wherever, wearing these costumes because they love these heroes from the books. And with the book Stickman, you can follow on with other things. So I have a friend who collected sticks and actually made walking sticks out of them, carved them. Look at that. Got a dragon at the end. Beautiful stick. And of course, you grandmas and grandfathers who go out walking, maybe take your grandchildren into the woods to find some sticks. You might be very glad of something like this to hold you up after all the energy you've used on your grandchildren. And for slightly older children, we've got like the David Walliams, children like his books. This one is There's a Snake in My School. So plenty of laughs there in that one. And actually, I remember my uncle who taught plumbing in a college, and he told me one of his students had a bag at the side of his chair and it was moving. And he was a bit intrigued about this. And then at the end of the lesson, he went over to him and said, what's in your bag? It's moving. He said, a snake. He had a python in his snake and he'd gone to college with it. Children will howl laughing at this. Look at this. Got some pants, big ones, to go with that story. So you can use this as a prop and you can get the children to actually put these on. I've got 2 pairs, a red one a red pair and a blue pair. They can put these on and you can tell the story, and you can ask them to collect things around the house, you know. Get me something that begins with K, and they have to go and get it and put it down the pants. So they end up with a pair of underpants filled with all these things. They are learning to read at the same time because you're using the initial letter sound. So can you find me something beginning with P? So I might grab a paper from somewhere, put it inside the pants. And visual aids are really good. I've got a visual aid that I use when I tell this story about the very hungry caterpillar. Here we are, look. There's the very hungry caterpillar. And there's a little song that goes with it. I am absolutely terrible at singing, but I always, when I read this story to children, I usually end up singing the song about the caterpillar. And it's about a little girl called Arabella Miller, and she finds a furry caterpillar. First it crawls upon her mother, then upon her baby brother. And she throws it down. "Ooh," said Arabella Miller, "take away that caterpillar." And children love holding this and singing that little song. I'm not singing it for you because I am the worst singer ever. Puppets, very, very useful for storytelling. You won't have a book with pictures in, but you can make the story up as you go along and make up the names of the puppets. I call this one Wendy usually, and Wendy is not a happy girl, is she? Look at her mouth. So you can tell a sad story about Wendy, or you could tell a story about she's not happy because she has to wear glasses and she doesn't like that. So you can actually make up a story about how it can be a positive thing. Okay, she's got a little school uniform on as well, so suitable for little ones, reception age as well. We've also got some friends of Wendy's. So this is one of her friends. She's very happy. Look, she's very happy because her mummy has just read her a story, one of her favourite stories. And you can make up a name for the puppet, and you can make up your own little story. So it can be about anything. This one might be that she'd been very good at school, so she went home to tell her parents. This one can be that somebody did something horrible to her at nursery or even at home and made her feel sad. We've also got another puppet here. Again, you can make up a name. This one is an angry boy. So what's happened to him to make him angry? Maybe his brothers told him off or said something horrible to him. Yeah, so he's gnashing his teeth. And this is really funny because sometimes when I read this, the trousers fall down. They fall down. And then the children start laughing and they, oops, I need to put some more elastic in those trousers. The grandchildren have been. Now it's time to tidy up. But first of all, I need to get up off the floor. I am a grandma. It's really difficult. Oh, if I put my hand, oh golly, put my hand on the settee. Oh, and use the stick. Oh my gosh. Oh, to be young again. Me and my friends. And today we're going to talk about storytelling, telling stories to young children. What a delightful thing that is. What a lovely thing to do for parents and also for grandparents and anybody else who likes telling stories. Yeah. So there's lots of things to learn, and one of the things that we need to do is before we ever start to read a story to the children, we must have read it ourselves first. That is so important because sometimes you get words in those stories that are not really suitable for the age group that you are reading to. So select your book, have a look at the words in there, and also the sentence construction. It might be too difficult for the children to understand. So it's very important that we are aware of not only what the books say is suitable for the age group that you're with, but also that you know your children and know what words they will understand. Sometimes they surprise you. So, for example, my little grandson, who had just gone 3 years of age, in the cafe, looked at the counter and said, "I want a croissant." And there was one there on the counter. And we were so shocked because you think, where's he got that from? And he got it from storybooks and from maybe visiting France. So, some children might not have a clue what a croissant is. Some children will know. So these things you do need to consider. You also need to consider if you've got several children in the house and they all want to have a story, if they're different ages, are these books suitable for all of the children? So it might be that you need to tell stories one-on-one and not as a group. You might have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, so obviously you're going to choose different books for those age groups. So make sure that you select your book carefully. Take the children into your confidence and introduce the book. So you might talk about what is going to be in the book. Lots of children obviously go to the dentist, they go to a hospital, or they know that people go to hospital or are in hospital. And you might have storybooks about those things. So you might talk about, we're going to the dentist, or I heard you went to the dentist for a checkup. And what was that like? And let them talk about that and then introduce that book. And now this story is all about going to the dentist. And they will be much more interested than if you just pick a book up and start reading it. Okay. You need to use your voice appropriately. Make sure you have, I'm from Yorkshire, my voice is very, very flat. I have to really think about that when I'm telling stories to children. I have to try and put in a bit of a, make it more musical, so there's a rise and fall of my voice. And I don't want to, if it's flat all the time, then it's going to sound boring. So try and make it very interesting by using your voice. And if there's different characters in the book, then you can take on the voices of the different characters. So there might be an older person, maybe a man who might talk very deeply. You might have a woman in there who has a higher voice. So you might higher your voice, and when you are talking about what she is saying in the story. So lots of things to consider. Another thing is the pictures in the book. They're so important. For very young children, we only need to have very simple pictures on a page, and also very few words, if any. So if the children are under 1, for example, you would have, say, maybe a board book, one that they're not going to tear the pages, and also one that they can actually turn the pages of that book themselves. If it's not a board book, they might tear the pages, so think about that. Cloth books also for very young children are very suitable. So very simple pictures, lots of colour in there, and lots of consideration about how many words are on each page. 1 word is absolutely ample for very young children. As the children are getting older, you can introduce more complex pictures. So you can show them books with lots of things happening on the pages, and obviously lots more words. So you have sentences, sometimes quite complex sentences, and often with the storybooks, they rhyme, so that when you're telling the story, the story, the words rhyme, and you can talk about that with the children. And this is so important today, because speech and language helps. If they have good speech and good language, it's going to help them in every area of the curriculum once they start school. And so make sure that you are telling lots of stories to children, a variety of stories, and stories that they are interested in. It doesn't have to be just stories that you are interested in, but also stories that the children are interested in. If they're not interested, they're going to switch off and they're not going to listen. Oh, I know that from experience. I've been through that. So I know that my voice and the book is very important to keep the children's interests. So find a little spot that's going to be suitable. I prefer to sit on a chair or on the settee. At bedtime, I often read stories to my grandchildren in bed. And you know what? Sometimes I end up falling asleep with the children. I send myself to sleep. So, yeah, choose where you want to sit, and make sure you're comfortable, and make sure the children are comfortable, and try and find a spot where there's not too many distractions. If there's a lot of noise, if you're in the kitchen, for example, you might have the dishwasher on, or the washing machine, or something bubbling away in a pan. That's not suitable, because the children will be distracted. So a quiet place would be really good. And let the children be involved. Don't just tell the story, but let them turn the pages in the book. Then they learn that we tell the story from left to right. Many children start school today and they don't even know that the story goes from left to right in the book, and that they have to turn the pages in a particular way. They don't have those skills. It's really quite sad. But if children have lots of experience of being read to, and see how that works, and they're prepared. They're prepared for stories once they go to school. When I was working in school quite a long time ago now, we asked the children to bring a book in from home. It was so sad. It was a disadvantaged area where I was working in the school, and one child brought an Argos catalogue. That was the only book in their house. Yeah. So if you can, please try and read lots to your children and grandchildren, and choose a variety of books for them. Let them be involved. You can stop the story and talk to them about what's on the pictures. You can talk to them about what do you think comes next. If we turn the page, what do you think is going to be on the next page? So you're allowing them to use their imagination and thinking skills. So they're not just listening, they're actually really thinking about that story and what it's all about. Use your voice appropriately, and ask the children sometimes to fill in where you have perhaps created a little gap. So you know what they're like. You read a story and the little ones say, again. So you might read that story over and over in one storytelling session. So they get to know the words and they get to know what comes next. It's quite hilarious, really. So you can stop, have a silence, and let the children fill in what they will remember. It's incredible. They will tell you what the word is that comes next, if they are very familiar with the book. We need to make sure that we pause at the correct places when we are storytelling, and don't rush it. If there's a full stop, then make sure you wait about 3 seconds before moving on to the next sentence. And if there's a comma in the book, again, you do need to have a pause. But for very young children, obviously, you won't see the commas and the full stops. You just see the words. Okay. As the children get older and the language in the stories become more complex, that's when there's more grammar introduced. And later on, you can start talking about that with them. So you might say, why do you think there's an exclamation mark here? See if they can tell you. Children often interrupt you when you're telling your story, you're reading your story. So you have to try not to stop, because it does stop the flow. There's all, they shuffle about, they start telling you about a story about something that's connected with the story. Don't get into a conversation about those things. You can at the end of the story, but not during the story. Otherwise, you're never going to get through it, and they'll forget what the story's about anyway. So try not to have any interruptions from the children. If you're very good at storytelling, then you might tell a story without a book. And I know my grandchildren often say, can you tell me a story about when you were little? So I have to think about things that are funny or things that they would be really interested in and tell the story. No book and no props, just like to listen. So you have to decide, do I want to use a book? Do I want to use props? Or am I just going to use puppets, for example? Puppets are really good for storytelling, and it helps the children to focus. One of the problems with using puppets is they often want to use them themselves, so they're trying to grab them, and that might just disturb the way you're telling the story. You know your children, so you can tell those stories in the way that you think is suitable. When telling story to children, you can actually pause and see if they can tell you what's coming next. So you could pause and expect the word that comes next from the children, or you could say to them, what do you think comes next? I'm going to read a short piece from the Harry McClary book as an example. They sniffed at the smells and they snooped at each door, when suddenly out of the shadows they saw. What do you think they saw? Scarface Claw, the toughest Tom in town. And if the children are familiar with the book, they will say, Scarface Claw, it's Scarface Claw. These books are very suitable for very young children. So around about the age of 1, they can have these books, cloth books, with just simple pictures and the odd word. They're not going to tear them, they can't damage them. They're very suitable for very young children. And then we can introduce hardbacked books. Again, they're not going to tear the pages. This one is a version of the Raymond Briggs Father Christmas. And can you see there, look? Clear pictures and simple one word underneath each picture. We've got the very popular Peppa Pig books. This is one about holidays. We've got the pictures in there with the different characters. Around about 2 years of age now, they're wanting these books. There's Remember to also show books with children with special needs. We have to think about that. This is a simple book there. Look, very clear pictures like photographs with little writing at the side. You can also introduce numbers even at very young age. This one is called Splosh, and it's got numbers inside. So inside this book, for example, it goes from 1 up to 10, and this one is page 4. 4 fluffy ducks say, "Let's jump in." Choosing books for varying age groups. At approximately 1 year of age, and children need very simple books, picture books without words, just a picture, it will suffice. And never say don't touch or not that way up. Children, obviously, very young children, won't understand what you mean. By 2 years of age, children are now able to follow a simple sequence of events which are familiar to them, either inside the home or outside. And story time with a well-loved adult enriches everyday learning for the child, and it creates a bond with a parent or a grandparent. The child learns to see, touch, listen and anticipate what's coming next. At 3 years of age, the child continues to find security in characters and events in the stories. And the picture books may now introduce the child to words and simple phrases. The child's memory is developing, and they will enjoy repetition, lots of repetition, and the opportunity to join in with the story in some way. They will ask for the same story again and again and again. Choose a picture book which has illustrations which tell the story in the correct sequence of events. The child's powers of reasoning are now not yet sufficiently mature to enable them to differentiate between fact and fantasy and reality. And so they're not yet ready for fairy tales and monsters, stories like that. They're for the older children. At 4 years of age, a child is now ready to concentrate a lot more on one character, or maybe 2 characters. And the stories help a child to gain security, confidence, and help in overcoming fears. Some stories are reassuring and tell how the smaller and the weakest can achieve something that the strongest cannot achieve. A story may explain a visit to the dentist or to the hospital or the doctors, and the child may get a lot of comfort from hearing stories like that. Things like a new baby arriving in the family or moving to a new home. And by listening to those events, the child may be better prepared and more able to accept a new situation or a new environment. At 5 years of age, now children are able to separate fact from fantasy, and they're ready to recall past events and to anticipate further ones. And now is the time to introduce fairy tales. Stories without pictures can be told as well, and these give the child the opportunity to make their own picture in their imagination. And last but not least, by 6 to 7 years of age, the child is now capable of concentrating for longer periods of time, and they will be beginning to read. At 6 years of age, the child is now capable of concentrating for longer periods and will be beginning to read. I have a grandson who's 6 years of age. He's actually reading fluently. And one of the reasons he's reading fluently is because he's been read to all his life, every day, not just at bedtime, but at other times during the day, his parents read to him. Continue to read stories to the children at 6 years of age who are able to read for themselves, because you can actually choose more advanced books and books with more complicated sentences and vocabulary. The child's sense of humour is now more sophisticated, and they will enjoy a little twist in the story, and they will be able to take on and understand more complicated plots. Children are now ready for non-fiction picture books and are eager to absorb the facts about people from other countries, how things work, prehistoric monsters, and so on. This book is about Santa, but, and obviously you'd only use this at Christmas time, but it's an interactive one, so the children can actually do things like pull things at the side and then the pictures change. And they do love doing things like that. Put the finger in there and move the picture. And then we've got Pepper. Pepper, this is a lift the flap book. There's George. Look at George. They all love George, don't they? The little brother with his dinosaur. All young children love dinosaurs. And there's the lift the flap there. Be careful, because they will rip them out if they're very young. That's Not My Train. This is where they can feel different textures within the book, and children love doing that, and you can talk to them about it. That's not my train. Its windows are too shiny. Feel them. And the children are involved, not just in listening to the story, but active in interacting with it. For slightly older children now, we've got, again, books where there is interaction. They've got a little glove puppet there, look. Hello. And you can just make up a little story using that if you like. This one's about Barry and his the fish with fingers. And it's got numbers in as well. So at the same time, the children are learning their numbers. This is 1 to 5. Toddle Waddle. This is a beautiful little book, and it's Julia Donaldson, who many of you will be aware of. So very few words, beautiful clear pictures for the little ones. Hurry, scurry, flip, flop, toddle, waddle. Nice and simple there. And of course, an all-time favourite, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Beautiful pictures, lots of sequencing in there, and the children have to remember, if possible, the order in which the caterpillar eats the various pieces of fruit and other foods. We also have, we've got that one with sounds so that you can have music playing. Again, for the very young ones. I'm just looking to see where I put that and I can't see. Never mind. But we do have that. There's lots of versions of the Hungry Caterpillar for the different ages of children. So, yeah, look around for those. We've got Pepper Goes Swimming. There we are. You take your children swimming, they love to splash about. Look at this, the Pepper family. All in the shorts and swimming costumes. I wish we had a swimming pool like that. They actually, in this picture it says, and in the story it says they are at the swimming pool. Very, very simple, beautiful pictures. They're all having a laugh and smiling in the pool. Obviously nobody's gone under yet because they wouldn't be smiling, would they? Oh, here we are. I found that one. The Very Hungry Caterpillar with a sound button. And you can have the sound going whilst you are telling the story. Moving on to slightly older children, the old traditional stories. are really popular. So this one's The Three Little Pigs, and it actually is a first reader book. So when children start to read, they will get some interesting books with lovely pictures and the words that they need for to develop the reading skills. These are also very useful for storytelling, and you can get the children to follow the words with the finger. So hopefully at the same time as telling the story, they are seeing the words on the page and learning to, or remembering them, and hopefully that will help them with their reading skills. Me and my grandma, we're moving up the age groups now, so I would say about 3-4 years of age, again depending on the children. This is a lovely one about spending time with grandma. And children absolutely love these books, the Dr. Seuss books. This one is Hop on Pop. They all rhyme, really helpful for when they're learning to read. So maybe 4-5 years of age. So I've just opened it randomly. 3 fish in a tree. Fish in a tree? How can that be? They absolutely love these Dr. Seuss books. A very popular one to go for. And these Room on the Broom, the stories about witches, they don't only have to be read when it's Halloween time. They're very popular all year round. In this particular one, there's dragons, and of course children love dragons, don't they? A Squash and a Squeeze. This is Julia Donaldson. Again, a very popular book. Lovely photographs, or should I say drawings inside. Lovely pictures. This one is hilarious. The Grinny Granny Donkey. I'm going to just read a couple of pages. There was a sweet donkey who lived on the heath. She was so funny with her false teeth. Eeyore! But her teeth kept falling out. She loved to sip her favourite brew, dunk her biscuits in it, fall asleep in the afternoon sun, go for walks with her jewellery on, dress smartly, play her banjo to relax, and sometimes she got grumpy and cranky. There's a lot of repetition in this book, and children love the repetition. They will tell you what comes next. If you leave a little gap, ask what word comes next. They'll probably be able to tell you. The Albergs. This is Alan Alberg, Baby on Board. They're always interested in babies and children who are younger than themselves. And so that's a sweet little story. The Shirley Hughes Alfie books are great. Alfie and his best friend here, and what they get up to. Go on a scooter ride and one of them falls off. Well, a lot of young children have scooters, so they're very interested in these books because they can relate to them. This is a good one, The Smartest Giant in Town. Again, that is a Julia Donaldson book. And there, look at him there. Lost his clothes. And Baby Cave, or Cave Baby should I say. Beautiful pictures, look at those. Absolutely beautiful. Story of a baby. And they will really be interested in that. When children get to about 4 or 5 years of age, they start making rude noises and laughing at silly things to do with bottoms and things like that. These books that I'm going to just show you very quickly, they love, because this one in particular is about underpants, thunderpants. And look at this. Up at the palace, the king says, "Oh my, 3 pairs of underpants baked in a pie." The children will fall about laughing at that. And then there's another one, pants. All different kinds of pants in there. Pants with cars on, pants with stripes, pants with love hearts. This one has also, you can press the pictures at the side and it makes the sound. of whichever page you're on. It tells you which picture it is you need to press. So that's really quite interesting for children. Can you see there's the little icons here? So you know which button to press. So you get the sounds as well. Underpants, Thunderpants, and again, very popular. I don't know if adults actually find them that popular, but certainly the children do. Other books, you know this one. Oh, lovely book, isn't it? Stickman. Nick Man, as the little ones call it. Nick Man. Julia Donaldson. Very, very popular author. It's a super, you often see that one on television as a film. Tiddler, about a baby fish who gets lost in the sea, tries to find its way back to where it should be. And this one's beautiful, Tabby McCat, a little cat who has an owner who falls and ends up in hospital, and then the cat's all by itself, and it befriends another cat, and they end up having kittens. Beautiful. And it's a lovely story for if you know of anybody who might be going into hospital, or if any of the family are in hospital, then it's a nice one to actually use to talk about hospitals. And there is Fred, the old man in the story. Can you see he's fallen? So he's got a pot on his foot and a bandage on his head. So you can link that with stories. We've got The Scarecrow's Wedding, another popular one, and that is Julia Donaldson again. Many of her books actually, they rhyme. When you read them, they actually rhyme. This one's beautiful. The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Again, you might see this one on the television. And it's the tiger comes and eats all the food in the house and drinks all the water. There it is, look in the kitchen. Child's fantasy, imaginative book. There it is, drinking from the teapot. This book is, I think it's over 50 years old. I was reading this to my children when they were little. Beautiful book. Funny Bones. Again, the Albergs, Janet and Alan Alberg. A popular one as well. What happens when it's dark and the skeletons come out. Another one here, Room on the Broom. Story of the witch. There's the dragon. Children love that. And they're all afraid of this dragon. But the good overcome the evil in the end. And that's what children like to see in a storybook. We've got Zog, popular ones. The Gingerbread Man, another traditional story that is very popular with young children. A bit sad at the end though, when the gingerbread man gets eaten by the fox. And a friend of mine who read this to her grandson said he cried at the end. He was so sad that the fox had eaten the gingerbread man. You might want to change the end slightly so it doesn't upset the children. Another one where that happens is Chicken Licking. Don't know if any of you are familiar with that one. It's a very old book, but the chicken gets eaten at the end and it's very shocking at the end. So you might need to sometimes adapt the stories to suit the age of the children. This one, Don't Put Your Finger in the Jelly, Nelly, where the children have to put their finger through a hole like that. And that's interactive. The children like to do that. So many. These are popular things like, books, especially with the little boys and girls, but usually it's the boys who like the picture books and storybooks with the trains in and the engines. My 3-year-old grandson loves tractors and diggers, and when we were out driving one day, I pointed to a digger in a field. I said, "Oh, look, there's a digger." He said, "It's a mini digger." I said, "Oh, okay." A bit later on, I said, "There's a tractor." And he said, "It's not a tractor, Grandma, it's a combine harvester." He has a 1-year-old sister, and when she first started speaking, one of her first words was tractor. Her brother loves to look at books with pictures of tractors, diggers, trains, any vehicles. And they're very popular. Gruffalo. There's the Gruffalo, and there's the Gruffalo child. This is Gruffalo's child, and some beautiful pictures there of the animals in the forest. It's really lovely when you ask the children to join in with the rhyme, because there's a lot of repetition in this book, and the children remember and they can say those words with you. This is a lovely one for slightly older children, the Smeds and the Smooths. Again, Julia Donaldson, and the pictures are by Axel Scheffler. This is lovely. It's beautiful, and the message is about discrimination. So you could get a lot of conversation at the end of that story about what was in there. Really lovely. Yeah, so absolutely tons of books. Beautiful Superworm. There's so many. Owl Babies. Absolutely hundreds of books that you can tell to your children and grandchildren, and they will love them. You can go to our homepage, grandmacath.com, and download the PDF file. There you will see the books we have used.